Hey everyone, welcome to my first car review of 2015. Happy New Year to you all. I hope 2015 is treating you well. It's a very misty, foggy, creepy day here in Connecticut, but I'm still having fun driving the new Audi A3, a car that's been of interest to me because when I drive to work in the morning, I see this big billboard on the side of the highway as I pass the local Audi dealer saying, new Audi A3, $29,900. And I'm, wow. Audi are bringing in a premium car for under $30,000? That must be a stripper. I've got to have a drive of that. But here I am driving one of these cars, and turns out they're not a stripper. Even in its most basic model, they come with a lot of great toys, which I'll talk about shortly. So what we'll do in this review is talk about the specs of this car and the other A3 siblings, the turbo diesel and the 2-litre turbo with the 4-wheel drive. We'll compare some of the other cars within the price bracket, although that's not easy because there's no other cars in the exactly $30,000 bracket. They're all in the $32,000, $33,000 bracket, the German premiums, which if you're buying the 2-litre with the 4-wheel drive, that's $32,000, $33,000. So there are some within the A3's price bracket, but not this particular model, the 1.8 with the front wheel drive. It's much cheaper, and so it's unique, and I think that's why it's going to be such a great seller. So those youngsters out there wanting to get themselves into a premium brand, but can't quite stretch to a $35,000 budget, but can stretch to late 20s or early 30s, this is the car they're probably going to go for, and it is an excellent car. Next we will take a walk around the outside of the car, have a look at the styling, and then we'll come inside and look at some of the features within the car and talk about some of the options. And just like any German car, there are a myriad of options and they will rack up the price, no problem at all on you. But what I'm going to try and recommend is to try and hold back on those options, because even in its most basic form, this car comes with some great features. And then finally, we're going to get it out on the highway and take it for a spin, and talk about the differences between this car, which is the 1.8 turbo, and its slightly bigger brother, the 2-litre with the Quattro 4-wheel drive system, which is an absolute rocket ship of a car. Okay, so let's get on with the review. So first up, what are the specs of this car? Well, this is the new 1.8 turbo. It sips the slightly cheaper 91 octane gas, so it's a little cheaper to run if you get this engine, but it's 170 horsepower, 200 foot-pounds of torque, which isn't going to, it's not going to blow you away. It's 0 to 100 time of about 7.2 seconds, and it's got reasonable fuel economy of around 23 city, 33 highway. What's interesting is that the 2-litre, the bigger engine, the 2-litre turbo, has the same, in fact slightly better mileage. I think that's got 2433, so by getting the bigger, more powerful engine, you're actually knocking back the mileage, but the larger engine does have to take the most premium gas. So yeah, it's nice. It's got a decent amount of power for the price, and when I take it on the highway, you'll see it's a reasonable performer. But yeah, the 2-litre turbo is a rocket ship. So if you can stretch that extra $3,000 for the 2-litre turbo with the Quattro 4-wheel drive, certainly do that. So you're considering buying an A3. What other cars are in the same size and price bracket and performance bracket? Well, there's not many. In fact, there's none in the sub 30,000 range. They're all in the 32, 33 range, and they've all got the 2-litre turbo engine. So they all compare with the A3 with the 2-litre turbo engine. Starting with the BMW 228i, that's probably the next best car to the A3, I think. It certainly has the best driving dynamics. It's rear-wheel drive, it's got that lovely 2-litre turbo engine of BMW's. It is a really nice car to drive. The interior is not quite as nice as the A3, and certainly if you get the A3 with the 2-litre turbo engine and the 4-wheel drive, I think the A3 would outperform in most cases the BMW, even though it's a nicer car to drive. As for the exterior, the looks, well, you know, some people like the 2 Series look, some people don't. Some people like the A3 look, some people don't. That's a matter of of taste, I guess. So yeah, I think the closest car to this new A3 is the BMW 2 Series. The other option is the Mercedes-Benz CLA 250, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't really like its exterior looks, and I certainly don't like its cheap interior, and I'm not a big fan of the engine sound of those cars either. So it's a bit of a swing and a miss with Mercedes-Benz, but that's just my opinion. Some people love those little CLA 250s. I know further up the range, the new C-Class, the Mercedes, is beautiful, and I don't know why they couldn't incorporate some of the lovely interior touches that they put in the C-Class in that CLA. The CLA is really cheap inside. Otherwise, there's not many other options. Just for comparison's sake, let's look at the Volkswagen Jetta, which is of course the same family, same engine, same drivetrain, same almost everything, and it's $20,000 cheaper. So certainly a lot of people would be buying the Jetta over the A3 because of the price. And really, you've got to ask yourself, hey, what am I getting for $10,000 more? Am I just getting the Audi badge? No, you're not. You know, the Audi has many additional features that the Volkswagen doesn't come with, and they would probably, doing a bit of mental arithmetic, I added them up to be about $5,000 or $6,000 with the options that come standard in the A3 that you don't get in the Jetta. So you're probably paying around $4,000 for the Audi badge and the nicer materials that you get in the Audi, which I think a lot of people would want. You know, a lot of people, not just car people, but snobs out there, would pay the extra $4,000 for the Audi badge over a Volkswagen. And otherwise, there's not much else. Cadillac has the ATS, but really the ATS is competing with the A4 and the 3 and 4 Series BMWs. It's not competing with the A3. And the bottom of the line ATS actually has that nasty 2.5 litre engine. It doesn't have the 2 litre turbo in it. There's nothing from Lexus or really from the other Japanese car manufacturers. So yeah, this is a pretty small field. It's certainly here in the US, it's a pretty small field, and I think the A3 is leading that field at this point. Okay, let's pull over here and talk about exterior styling. And the first thing you'll notice is that this is a sedan. It's the only body shape that's going to be available here in the US. Everywhere else in the world, the A3 is available in the cute little hatchback and the sportback. And the previous generation A3, which I believe was called the 8P, was available in the sportback here in the US, but it didn't sell well. Really, for whatever reason, here in the US, hatchback cars do not sell well. Even though they're often the best looking and the most convenient, they just don't sell well. So I suspect the A3 will only ever be available in the sedan version here, which is fine. I just would prefer the hatchback. I've actually owned 2 hatchback Audi A3s in the past, all the way back from the original generation, which was called the 8L, which was never brought to the US. I had one of those back in '97 when I was just a youngster with freckles, and then again when I lived in Europe, I had the 8P model Audi A3 2.3 Quattro DSG model, the Sportline one, which was a really zippy little car. And I love those cars. They have plenty of room and hatchback convenience, and really a pretty car. Actually, my 2.3 I used to zip around Nürburgring every now and then. Anyway, back to this car. This car, you know, the sedan, while it's not my favorite shape, is still a reasonably handsome car. I actually prefer it slightly to the 2 Series BMW, and I much prefer it to the CLA Mercedes, which I really don't like the shape of at all. The only thing I'd say about the Audi is the front grille. They introduced this enormous grille about 10 years ago, and it was controversial back then. And while some of us have got used to it, you know, even Toyota Corollas have copied that big grille now. And when Toyota Corollas have a grille like an Audi, it's time for Audi to do something different. So here's to you, Audi. Get rid of that stupid grille already. We're all tired of it. It's time for a new shape or a new statement, styling statement from you guys. But otherwise, it's a nice looking car. This particular car has the optional 18-inch wheels, which are about $800. The 17-inch wheels look obviously a little smaller and don't fill in the arch as well. So if you can if you can find the $800, I'd certainly get the 18-inch wheels. It fills out those arches nicely and it looks nice. But yeah, it's a cute looking car. It's about the same size as the original A4 from the 90s. So it's a good size inside. So yeah, nice looking car on the outside. Okay, so continuing around the inside, you know, what you're paying for with an Audi, apart from the badge, which you're certainly paying a premium for, is you're paying for higher quality materials, and that's obvious on the inside. You know, if I compare this to a current Jetta, the materials used in here are much softer, much higher quality materials. You know, the car even sounds a little quieter, and it's certainly a very nice place to be. Everything you touch is a softer touch, and even the controls. You know, the controls have got a very satisfying click to them. Even the little vents here have got a very satisfying click when you turn them. And I guess that's what you're paying for with the more expensive Audi over, say, a Volkswagen. If we have a look from the left to the right, you've got the standard one-touch buttons, which have got nice silver rims around them. You've got the auto lights, which are standard on this car, as well as the auto wipers. This car has the $1,900 navigation package, which is really lovely. You know, what the difference Audi does with their what Audi does differently with their navigation is they have higher powered processors, and they even have, for us computer nerds out there, they have NVIDIA video graphics, so everything happens very quickly and very smoothly on the navigation system. And Audi incorporates LTE as the first car, I believe, to incorporate LTE technology, so they get faster internet downloads, and you get this lovely Google Maps system, which helps you find exactly where you're going, because it's using the satellite images, and it's so much easier to figure out where you are with that system. And of course, the navigation system also includes the high resolution screen in the middle here. So some cars like the BMWs, they split their screens. Here in the Audi, you get the high resolution screen in the center, and another one on the dash here, which of course is multifunction and does the navigation, the phone, the Bluetooth stuff, your service intervals, and of course your trip computer, which can be any number of things, including digital speedometer and efficiency programming, telling you your miles per gallon and so forth. So yeah, it's a nice interior. The steering wheel is a nice smooth leather. It's got a little notch here for your 10-3, but it's really not a sporting steering wheel. You get a nice set of buttons to control all this. Interestingly, on the volume button for the stereo is also the next track. You move this backwards and forwards to change tracks between on your iPod or your radio settings or whatever. Down here, the HVAC controls, a nice white display, a nice solid click to the buttons, and 2 cup holders. This car says that it's got 4 cup holders. I suppose down here it could be a cup holder as well. So 4 cup holders, which we all like, lots of cup holders. And what else? It's got this little aluminum trim around the edge here. And you know, I'm a 6 foot tall male, and you know, with the seat in its medium position, I've still got plenty of headroom. So you know, it's a reasonable sized car. You know, I personally like smaller cars myself, and I like smaller cars that I fit into well, and this is one of those. And I'll take a walk into the back seat and we'll see how I fit in there. I've got the seat right in a middle position in the front here, so I'll see how I fit in the back. So here we are in the back, me and Albert. How's it going, Albert? You enjoying the Audi A3? Yeah, pretty good. Plenty of room back here for 2 gorillas or 2 humans. As I said before, I'm a 6 foot tall, kind of chubby human male, and I fit back here perfectly fine, apart from the headroom. Yeah, I definitely am going to lock my head against the roof in this car, and there's nothing I could really do about that. So yeah, this is a back seat for people probably 5'10" and below. However, the footroom's fine. If I have a look down here, even with the seat in the medium position, I've got no problem. Just enough knee rooms. So, you know, it's not leg room that's the problem. It's headroom that's the issue for this car. If you're as tall as I am, but for gorillas, no problem at all, eh, Albert? Plenty of headroom for you. And finally, around the back, let's have a quick look in the trunk. The trunk is surprisingly large on this small car. It easily fits 2 gorillas. I would even say that you could fit 4 gorillas or 4 large suitcases in there. It's a really generous sized trunk, that's for sure. Okay, next I wanted to quickly talk about the cost of cars in America compared to other countries. Now sure, there's some countries which have enormous import tariffs or taxes, and so that makes up a big portion of the cost of cars. But then there's other countries that don't have large import tariffs or taxes that are similar to the US, and yet cars are so much more expensive there. A lot of people write to me and ask me why that is, and you know, I don't work for car manufacturers, so I don't know, but I can make an educated guess. I was talking to my brother about this the other day, and he and I tried to figure out what it was, and really what I believe it is. Well, let's look at some examples first. If you configure the base model A3 sedan with the same features that come standard on it here in the US, that is the $29,900 model I've been talking about, if you configure that exact same model in the UK, that comes out at 31,000 UK pounds, British pounds, which is 48,000 US dollars. So about 50% more expensive in the UK. The situation's even worse in my home country, back in my motherland of New Zealand. If you configure the A3 exactly the same as this car, with no options, just the base model, it costs New Zealand dollars 75,000 New Zealand dollars, which is 60,000 US dollars. So twice as much. The car is twice as much, and there are not a lot of import tariffs and duties. It's just the way Audi prices their cars, and all the other manufacturers do the same thing. So why is it? Why do they price their cars so much more in these other markets and not in the US? Well, I believe it comes down to simple math and economics. In the US public have a higher disposable income, so there's more people with more disposable income to spend on cars, and the car manufacturers do the math and they figure out they would rather sell 10 widgets at $1 profit than 4 widgets at $2 profit. And that's how it works, is, you know, they just bring their cars in. You know, it must annoy the Germans that where they make these cars, that their cars are more expensive than they're sold here in the US, simply because the US market's so much larger and there's so many more people that can afford this type of car. So they bring the price down to be more competitive, so they sell more even though they're making less. Whereas the smaller markets like New Zealand, they figure, sure, if we double the price there, we're going to sell 30% less, but you know, we're doubling the price, so we'll still make more money. And that's what I believe happens. You know, it's not always just tariffs and duties. It's a simple matter of how the car manufacturer is going to make the most money. And here in the US, they make the most money by bringing the cost down, so they sell more units, which is unfortunate. On the flip side, however, the US consumer doesn't get it all their own way. You know, what we miss out on here in the US is that we don't get the range of models that you get everywhere else. Sure, we often get the best ones, but we don't get all of them. For example, as I said before, this A3 is only available in the sedan version. You can't get it in the hatchback or the sportback, and it's only available in 3 engines: the 1.8T, the 2-litre T, and the turbo diesel. Everywhere else in the world, it's available in 6 engines and multiple body styles and multiple trim levels. In fact, a quick look on the UK Audi site, and there are 44 different engine and drivetrain model combinations for the Audi A3, whereas there are only 9 here in the US. So, while cars may be more expensive, you certainly get a lot more range in other countries. I find that very interesting. And I guess it's very annoying for anyone that lives outside the US to see how much cheaper cars are here in the US. but as I said, on the flip side, we don't get the range. You guys often get cars that we don't get everywhere else in the world. So even in New Zealand, there's a much wider range of cars available than there is here in the US. Okay, so finally let's take it for a thrash on the highway here. 170 horsepower, it's not going to blow us away, but still, you know, plenty of power. Get you where you want to go. And as I said before, 0 to 60 about 7 seconds. Obviously, if you want to go faster, then you want to get the upgraded engine, the 2-litre turbo. That is a rocket, that car. The combination of the extra horsepower, extra torque, and the 4-wheel drive, it's a completely different driving experience than the 1.8 front-wheel drive. Most people will be completely happy with this configuration, but yeah, if you want a bit more speed, and who doesn't, get the spring the extra $3,000 and get the 2-litre turbo with the Quattro. It is a wonderful driving car. As for this car, this has got the dual clutch gearbox that Audi have had now for over 10 years. We pop it into sport mode, and I can drop it down the gears, put my foot down, and we're away. Yeah, it's nice car to drive, good handling, reasonable amount of power. You know, I think that the hardest thing about owning an A3 is deciding what options to get, because you know, from the cheapest model, $29,900, right up to the top of the line model with the top trim, which is, the trims go premium, premium plus, and prestige. So if you get the prestige with the best engine and Quattro and tick all the options, you're looking at around $45,000 to $48,000, which is a lot of money for an A3. So I think most people would be buying an A3 would be sticking to the lower level models, the $30,000 to $35,000. And when you do that, when you're spending that sort of money, well, what options are you going to get? My personal recommendation, if you're looking to keep the budget within $35,000, is to definitely get that better engine with the 4-wheel drive. The 4-wheel drive makes all the difference in the wet. And keep the lowest trim. The premium trim is a nice trim, and just add a couple of options, like the navigation is a wonderful navigation, well worth the $1,900. Cold weather package, if you live somewhere cold, is a nice option. I wouldn't bother with the B&O stereo. As awesome as the 700 watt B&O stereo is, the standard stereo on these is fantastic as well. Crank up the volume, it's got heaps of bass, it's got a subwoofer, it's got I think over 400 watts of power anyway, and I think that is a reflection of the group of people that Audi are trying to sell this car to. You know, this car is aimed squarely at the younger generation that are getting into their first premium car, and so they have spec'd this car to that generation. You know, a good stereo, nice clean interior, the types of things that younger people like. So yeah, this car is really a fun car to drive, and I think if you're considering a small German executive car, go for the A3. It really has impressed me. I love it. My only change from the car that I'm driving now would be, yeah, certainly get that better engine. I like that, the more power from the 2-litre. It's a rocket. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and if you've got any questions about the A3, certainly leave them in the comments below. And if you have a car that you'd like to see me review, let me know. Or if you own a car yourself that is interesting, or a classic, or a premium car, and you live somewhere near New England, then send me an email. I'll be happy to review it for you. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching my A3 car review. Once again, I hope you have a great 2015, and I'll see you in my next review. Bye then.